tell you that my mind has turned to pieces? And did I tell you that my world been torn apart? My lack of senses tells me I'm not due for more. But in my bones I feel I'm ready for a war. I'm not ready for you.
Show the shirt.
I'm not ready for you.
Is off the cuff. Welcome back, everybody. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And I bet you guys thought I had forgotten about you. I bet you thought I was just going to let all of December come and go without a little farewell to the year 2014. Well, you were wrong. I know it's been a month since I last was on the air. My apologies as always. But, this is not necessarily an unusual thing for me. Actually, it's not really an unusual thing for anybody this time of the year because, much like everybody else, I was busy. As you all know, I quit my old job in September, late September. Since then, I've started a new job, which I will get into in a little bit. It actually has a lot to do with what we're talking about today. Today's topic, that's just uber stupid. And we'll be getting into all that before you know it. Trust me on that one. But it is good to be back here with you guys. It's good to be here. Good to be talking. Good to be drinking my cerveza. I know a few of you wrote to me, actually, wondering where the hell I was, what the hell was going on. Some of you needing some political insights, political news. Some of you wanting just some adult conversation because you have kids. Some of you wondering if I was dead or in rehab or... No, none of those things. Nothing terrible happened. Just the holidays, man. The holidays, came along and, sucked up a lot of my time, my birthday and Halloween being, of course, my favorite holiday of the year, they come and go pretty quickly and pretty easily because there's not a whole lot you really need to do for those type of holidays, But when it comes to Thanksgiving and, of course, Christmas, which we just had, it takes a lot of time, planning, and, of course, money. Especially if you happen to, enjoy an American Christmas like I do, where it's all about the commercialism and getting presents. Fuck Jesus. I could give a shit less about Jesus. But, but I want my presents, goddammit. I'm an atheist. What do you want from me? And it's like, I could give a shit less about Jesus on Christmas, all right? I want the fucking tree. I want my fucking presents. I want my fucking eggnog and rum. I want my tinsel and my flashy lights. And yeah, that for me, that's Christmas. I don't care about the religious aspect of it. Never did. And as for Thanksgiving, it's like, once again, let's just celebrate the fact that the Indians were able to die so easily. Thank God. They were they didn't have any immunity to diseases or bullets because otherwise, we wouldn't be here. So thank you, Indians, for being susceptible to disease and bullets. In any case, I hope you guys have been enjoying the holidays. I know I have, but like I said, the holidays are busy. We're busy at this time of year. We're trying to have fun. We're trying to enjoy our parties, enjoy our presents, enjoy each other, spend time with family and friends that we haven't seen in a while. And, and we're all either going back home or having people coming home to visit us, and that's all great. But it's incredibly, incredibly busy. It's taxing on the average human being, Me, not so much because, as you all know, my family's a bunch of Jehovah's Witnesses. So for them, Christmas Day was just... Thursday, just like Thanksgiving, it was just Thursday, and just like New Year's Eve will be just Wednesday, and New Year's Day will just be, once again, Thursday. Not a big deal with my immediate blood relatives. So there's never any reason to go visit them, for the holidays. I'll go visit them, off holiday times, like April. Or March or August or some shit like that, But for the actual big holidays, I'd rather just be here in good old L.A. with my girlfriend, the Russian, and my dog, and maybe a couple friends here and there, just celebrating, just having a good time, with the people that share my lack of values. Oh my God, what has been going on? Like I said, I hope you guys have been having a good time. Hope you continue to have a good time. Hope you continue to be safe and happy, which is kind of difficult because I know the holidays tend to depress a lot of people. I'm not one of those people. The holidays never depress me. But for a lot of people it does, because they feel lonely or they're broke and they can't afford, what they consider a traditional Christmas or traditional Thanksgiving, that kind of thing. Or maybe they're homeless, and their idea of getting, a good meal at Thanksgiving is the local soup kitchen, or Christmas local soup kitchen, So, it's rough all around. But, I don't know about you guys, but my holidays have been very nice, especially since this year I can actually afford them. One of the reasons I quit my old job is because they had a really, really bad habit of not paying me on time. And when you go 2 weeks without getting paid, and then they finally pay you, and you have to let them know, oh, by the way, you owe me for the last 2 weeks as well now, and they don't have that money, it gets a little tiresome. Which is why I quit on them. And you know what? It's funny. One of the things I told one of the guys that I worked with there was that the fact that I don't believe in giving the people I'm quitting my job from 2 weeks notice. I don't believe in that. And a lot of people, look at me as if, I'm crazy or I'm weird or I'm rude, I'm inconsiderate. But then you got to look at it the other way, okay? When you work for somebody and they decide to fire you, they never give you 2 weeks notice, do they? They never walk up to you and say, hey, Joe, look, we're going to have to let you go. We don't like your performance, or we have too many people. We can't afford it. But we're going to let you finish out the next 2 weeks, so you can make a little money before we let you go and, start looking for a job. No, nobody ever does that. Fuck them. So why should I do it for them? Why should I give somebody 2 weeks notice? I mean, the fact of the matter is, no one's going to call them and say, did he fuck you over? No, nobody does that. They just call and find out, did so-and-so work for you for this long? Okay. They're really not allowed to ask anything beyond that. And the people that are being asked, are not allowed to really offer anything beyond that. It's against the law, actually. But, obviously people do it sometimes, but I'm not worried about references from my last job. Believe me, they were a piece of shit. So I'm not worried about them. As a matter of fact, the week that I quit, 2 other people quit that same week. So fuck them. Obviously not good at retaining their employees. But like I said, I've been working a lot because I wanted to make sure that I could afford the holiday this year. I wanted to be able to get my girlfriend presents. I wanted to get my dog presents. I want to be able to contribute to the household finally in a way that, because I get paid on a normal basis, a regular normal basis, and I get paid enough that I can contribute again. And I'm very happy because of that. But, I went out of my way to make sure that I could. And thus here I am. Okay. What the hell am I talking about? I'm talking about Uber. You've all heard of Uber by now, I'm sure. It is a ride service. Some people call it a ride brokerage. Some people call it a personal taxi. Officially what Uber is they're a company worth $40 billion, by the way, that gets independent contractors, a person with a car, and gets them an app on their smartphone that they can find people that are looking for a ride. The ride request comes in, they tap accept, then they go pick this person up and take them where they want to go. It works basically a lot like a taxi. It really does. The difference being, of course, that these are not employees; they're independent contractors, and also it's considered more of a ride share. Basically, it's like the concept is almost like you and a friend are going somewhere, and you're driving, but you're asking him for gas money. That's basically what it kind of amounts to, and gas money and a little more, maybe a tip occasionally. But Uber has been getting a lot of bad press lately. I mean, a lot. I mean, I went the last month going through my newspaper looking for articles on Uber, and I couldn't go a single day without an article on Uber. And almost all of them were negative. I mean, I have got 3 pages worth of notes and clippings, and it's just crazy. And this is distilled from a month's worth, okay? And what's going on with Uber is that they are not the friendliest company in the world. Worth $40 billion, which is huge. Estimated worth is $40 billion, which is absolutely huge. And they are the biggest company in this particular field, this whole ride-sharing brokerage kind of thing. The number 2 company in this field is Lyft, and they're only worth $700 million. I mean, that's gigantic when you think about it, okay? We're talking about a company that's, Uber, as compared to Lyft, roughly 26 times bigger than their number 2 competitor. So that is huge. So Uber is gigantic, and the reason they're so big is because they were the first one to do this, and their technology and their system is way out in front of everybody else. Lyft, Sidecar, that kind of thing. So they're huge. But I think that because they're so huge, they've also become arrogant. And what I mean by this is that I have heard so many complaints about Uber and Uber drivers. I have read so many articles complaining about Uber and Uber drivers, the head of Uber, the business model they have in place, and just what a ripoff they can be. And look, I'm not here just to trash Uber, because ride companies like Lyft and Sidecar have come under scrutiny as well. The difference between, say, an Uber and a Lyft is that Lyft settled with the people complaining to them. The local government agencies, they went to them, they went to Lyft and said, hey, we don't like the way you do this, that, and the other thing. You don't conform to the rules and the laws. And Lyft said, well, okay, well, tell us what we got to do and we'll do it. And that's what they did. And thus, every day I look into the paper, I'm looking for negative articles on Lyft as well, and I'm not finding them. But Uber up the ass, okay? Now, among the many things that Uber has done is one of the things that was mentioned in the articles that I read was that Uber was keeping track of its customers, and by not just getting information on them, but actually physically tracking their phones to find out where their customers are, to make sure that Uber drivers were somewhere in the neighborhood in case they needed a ride, also known as an invasion of privacy. Another deal that they were doing, which I thought was really shitty, was that they would in order to edge out the competition, its number 1 competition being Lyft, would be to make a ride request of Lyft drivers. Then the Lyft drivers would go with their, where the ride was supposed to be, and then the people from Uber who had called them would cancel on them. So basically, they would get screwed. And I'm like, you're worth $40 billion. The number 2 is worth $700 million, but you feel that you want to fuck them over this way. Another thing that Uber did was severely cut the percentage they take out of each ride. Typically speaking, Lyft or Uber will take out between 20 and 25% of what a ride costs. So basically, if the ride cost Uber, cost the drive, the driver's getting paid $10 for a ride, Uber would take $2.50. Okay. But in order to be more competitive and edge out its competitors like Lyft or Sidecar, and actually poach drivers from them, they would cut down their take to like 5 or 10%. So that way, if you're a Lyft driver and your cut is 20, you're giving 20% of your take to Lyft, but Uber's saying, well, you can just give us 5% and you keep 95%. Well, then who the hell do you want to drive for? Exactly. We're going to be needing to take a break, unfortunately. Look at the time, it's flying by already. Our music today is brought to you by the band known as The Deliverance. Their first song you just heard was called Embrace. And here's their next song, Endless Search. I'm Joe the Shirt. I'm off the cuff, and I'll be right back.
endless search of the
Show the shirt
answer.
is off the cuff. Welcome back, everybody. Ha ha. Oh my God. We are talking today about the world of ride sharing, Uber, Lyft, Sidecar, and the such. Now, in case you haven't figured it out already, I do drive for Lyft these days. Okay. Now, among the reasons I don't drive for Uber, besides the fact that I don't want to be thought of as an asshole, is the fact that Uber requires that your car be no older than a 2006. Lyft requires your car to be no older than a year 2000. My car's 2004. I didn't qualify for Uber. I actually didn't even apply to Uber. I just looked up what I needed and realized, well, I can't get hired by them no matter what happens. Lyft was a lot more accommodating. But like I said, there's been so many stories, negative stories about Uber, and I've seen none about Lyft so far. Obviously, I am biased, but not so much that I can't be objective. Like I said, I have gone through the paper looking for any article, negative or positive, about Uber and Lyft. I've yet to find anything negative about Lyft other than the fact that, yes, they came under scrutiny by local governments, towns, cities, states, even countries. And when approached about the issues that they had, Lyft accommodated them. Uber continues to fight with these local governments. You know, they don't want to cooperate. They keep insisting that they are above the regulations that they are trying to establish with them, as if they were, say, a regular car service or a taxi cab service, which in fact they are not, but actually they are quite similar. Now, one of the biggest issues that people have had, a lot of local governments have had with Uber, is the fact that Uber claims that it is cutting edge when it comes to its criminal background checks and vetting its drivers. And it turns out they're not. For instance, one of the things that they do not do, they do not fingerprint anybody. Which means that if you don't get a fingerprint, much like a lot of cab companies do, if you don't get a fingerprint, then really a lot of the vetting process is really kind of up in the air. You know, it's almost meaningless, especially when you consider how big Uber is. Like I said, a $40 billion company. They are the biggest rideshare company in the world, which means they have a lot of independent contractors and no real way of keeping track of them. There have been reports in cases of physical and sexual assaults right here in the United States across multiple states. And the most famous, most recent one is the one in India, where an Uber driver picked up a woman. The woman passed out in the back of the car. He proceeded to turn off his GPS on his phone and drive her to a secluded area where he proceeded to sexually assault her. He then threatened to kill her if she told the police or reported it to anybody, and then, dropped her off wherever and went on his way. She was smart enough to take a picture of the license plate of the car. Thus, this individual was caught, and he is going to trial. And, this is New Delhi. And they found out when they investigated this was that the address that the gentleman had given did not match where he actually lived. So basically, he gave false information. He was not fingerprinted. He was not identified. Obviously, they did not conduct a proper criminal background check on him. And this poor woman ended up becoming sexually assaulted by him. Uber said, "My bad." And then India proceeded to ban Uber in India. Now, it's one thing to get banned by a town or a city or a state or a county, but for an entire country to ban you from their country takes a lot. Especially when you're talking about, I think like the second or third most populated country in the world. And it's particularly tough for Uber because India, as you all know, as I've shared these stories with you in the last 2 years, India's had a lot of issues with very public rape cases. When this particular attack occurred, it was about the 2-year anniversary of when a woman in India on a bus was assaulted and raped by several men, to the point that she died. That's how bad it was. So a lot of attention going on in India, and then of course it happens to be from an Uber driver. It kind of sullies the image of that whole, we're the cutting edge in personal security and vetting our drivers. What else have I got? I got a lot of stories here. Let me take a look at them, make sure. Okay, Mumbai, India. Okay. Now, one of the things that Uber says is that all of its rides in India and anywhere else are traced via GPS, which is great if you keep the GPS on in your phone. Now, as any of you who have a smartphone know, if you have a GPS, you can disable it. You can turn it off. You can just turn off your whole fucking phone. If you don't know how to disable your phone, you can just take out the battery. No one's tracing shit anymore. And of course, there have been other countries that have been having issues with them. For instance, in France, not too long ago, several hundred taxis blocked the roads heading from the Paris Charles de Gaulle airport, then inched towards the French capital in their latest protest of Uber. Traditional taxis say Uber has an unfair advantage because its drivers don't face the same requirements of insurance and taxes. On Friday, a French court stopped short of banning the company, but ordered Uber to make changes, including omitting all mention suggesting it is legal for its drivers to act as taxis. That is, driving around and waiting for clients. Okay? Mind you, in a follow-up story to this, France has already declared that coming in the year 2015, they will be banning Uber. Okay? And then we extend all this way to Brussels after that. They have a complaint in which prosecutors will proceed with an in-depth inquiry to determine whether fiscal and social security rules are upheld. The Belgian city also said it warned Google Inc. and Apple Inc. that making Uber services available to users encourages illegal practices. Friday's decision adds to a week of setbacks for Uber. The startup was sued by district attorneys of Los Angeles and San Francisco over claims that it makes false assurances about drivers' background checks. That followed a ban in Spain, while Rio de Janeiro declared the service illegal and the Netherlands halted service entirely. The Brussels authority said it asked the Belgian police computer crime unit to put Uber's website offline in the country. And yet, despite all this going on in these countries, nowhere is Lyft mentioned in the same sentence with Uber other than to say that Lyft has complied with local, state, and national government rules and policies. Again, I know I'm biased, but I still got to report this. Let's see. According to LA Times, executives at Uber have been known to invade customer privacy by tracking their Uber travels. One openly threatened personal retaliation against a troublesome journalist. Uber has tried to tone down the frat-like adolescence. It hired former Obama campaign advisor David Plouffe this summer, just as accusations emerged that the company was interfering with its main competitor Lyft by booking and canceling rides. Let's see what else here. Uber is being described by some cities as an over-aggressive bully. And then as for Lyft, it has agreed to stop picking up passengers at airports until it obtains the necessary permits and approvals, and submit its app to state testing agency measures accuracy in calculating fares, a move that Uber has refused to make. Once again, Lyft is cooperating, Uber is trying to fight back. Let's see what else. What else we got here? On Monday, Portland, Oregon sued the San Francisco company, that's Uber, for operating illegally in the city. The suit says Uber failed to comply with its city's regulations on private for-hire transportation and seeks a court order to stop it from operating in Portland unless it complies with the city's permits and insurance requirements. Let's see what else here. Financial penalties for Uber could be heavy. Gascon said the law allows $2,500 per violation, and there are tens of thousands of violations that will be up in the court. But Uber has plenty of cash after recent investments puts the firm at the $40 billion value mark. So basically, what Uber is saying is that, you know what, we're so big, we can afford to fight the law. We can afford to fight the rules. And maybe they can. You know what? I've always been a big fan of get away with as much as you can while you can. But they're not getting away with it. Everybody's coming after them, all right? Like I said, not just states and cities, but entire countries are telling them that, go fuck yourself, The Netherlands, India, France, and parts of the United States and Spain. These people, all these countries are telling you, you know what, Uber, we don't like the way you do business. We don't like the way you operate in our cities, and we certainly don't believe you when you say that you guys are safe. Now, from my own experience, I will tell you this. I have had a zillion people in my car in the last 2 months. It's been real busy, driving to the airport back and forth, sometimes as many as three or four times a day. Driving people to work, driving people to school, driving people to the airport, driving people to meet up friends for dinner or drinks, whatever. And for the most part, it's been a lot of fun. It's an easy gig. It really is. It's an easy gig. It pays well, and I have a good time doing it because, as you all know, I hate people, but I do like a person. People are annoying. A person can be interesting, or maybe just a couple of people, 2 or 3, maybe 4 people. They're interesting. They're that's fun. But I don't enjoy crowds all that much, unless of course I was performing. But that's a very different story. But for the most part, it's been fun, And people, I've heard a lot of horror stories about Uber. Here's the one that resonates in my mind the most. I was taking a couple to the airport a couple weeks ago, and they were telling me about an Uber experience that the husband had, where he and his friends were picked up at his place by an Uber driver, and they wanted to go to a club over on Fairfax and Sunset Boulevard, which maybe you don't know where it is, but think of it from where this guy lived. It was about 2.5 miles away. Now the Uber driver asked them what was the address so that he could punch it into his app and get directions from the app on how to get there. The guys said, well, we don't need to do that. We know where we're going. We'll just give you directions on how to get there. Now, the people at Lyft told me that if people get into your car and they want to go their way, giving you their directions, take them their way. Odds are it's not going to cost you any money, and it's true, it doesn't cost me any money, And what's on top of that, more often than not, these people, pick ways that are actually make me more money because they're really not the fastest way to get to where they're going most of the time. Well, in this particular story, the guys just wanted to give him directions, this way they know how to get there to the club. And the Uber driver was telling them that no, he needs to punch in the address and follow the directions given to him by the app. And they were arguing back and forth about this. And then finally, about halfway there, the Uber driver pulls over and tells all 3 guys to just get out of the car. And they did. Once they got out of the car, one of the guys went to the driver's side window to talk to the guy and let him know that he didn't appreciate the lack of customer service that he was getting from this guy and the arguments and him just dropping him off in the middle of nowhere like this. To which the Uber driver responded by pepper spraying the guy in the face. Pepper sprayed him. That's gonna bring down your rating. Let me tell you that right now. Both sides proceeded to call the police. The police showed up. Both sides told their side of the story. And then to the Uber driver, the police officer said, "You do realize you just admitted to committing a felony, right?" More on that when we get back. I'm Joe the Shirt. I'm off the cuff. This is The Deliverance with their song Fragments of a Broken Dream. And I'll be right back. or the shirt is off the cuff. That's right. Welcome back, everybody. Okay, we've been talking about the folks over at Uber and how they continue to fuck up left and right, and how the folks at Lyft do not fuck up left and right. As a matter of fact, are very cooperative with local, state, and national governments. And thus, I have yet to find a single negative article on Lyft at all. Whereas Uber, I can't go a single day without finding a negative article on them. Another story that I heard was, if you guys might remember, not too long ago, the gunman who had taken all those people hostage in Australia, killed a couple of them, killed himself, and people were scrambling to get out of the area as fast as possible, get away from the nutcase. And Uber drivers were in the area, and they picked them up, and they drove them to safety, and then proceeded to charge them. That got some bad press. Just a wee bit. And now, moving on, let's do some celebrity birthdays. If your birthday is December 29th, that being today, you share that birthday with actress Patricia Clarkson, who's 55 years old. Ted Danson is 67. You may know him from CSI and from Cheers. Mekhi Phifer is 40. Mary Tyler Moore is 78 years old. Danny McBride is 38. Jon Voight is 76. And pretty boy British actor Jude Law is 42. Love the celebrities. I truly do. And because it is the end of the year, we have some celebrity deaths in the news. Let's see. Who did we lose this year? Let's see. We lost Russell Johnson, age 89, who played the professor on Gilligan's Island. Maximilian Schell, 83 years old, won the Academy Award for Judgment at Nuremberg. Philip Seymour Hoffman died of a drug overdose, age 46. Shirley Temple Black, you may know her just simply as Shirley Temple, died at the age of 85. Sid Caesar, the king of live TV sketch comedy, was 91 years old. Harold Ramis from Ghostbusters was 69 years old. Mickey Rooney was 93 years old when he finally kicked off. You may remember him from stories that your grandmother may have told you about him. Bob Hoskins was 71 years old when he died. Last big movie I remember him from was Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Let's see. Ephraim Zimbalist Jr. died at the age of 95. Herb Jeffries was 100. He was a jazz entertainer. Ruby Dee, actress and a civil rights activist, was 91 years old. The one and only Casey Kasem was 82 years old. Not just a disc jockey, but the voice of Shaggy on Scooby-Doo. Eli Wallach was 98 years old. Elaine Stritch, also 89 years old. James Garner from Maverick and the Rockford Files was 89 years old. The one and only Robin Williams died at the age of 63 by his own hand. That one I took very personally. Joan Rivers was 81 years old. Lauren Bacall died at the age of 89. Let's see. Roberto Gomez Bolaños was 85 years old. He was... you may not know him by that name, but if you know Chespirito, if you know El Chavo del Ocho, and if you know El Chapulín Colorado, you know who I'm talking about. And Bob Baker was 90 years old, famous puppeteer and marionette maker. The celebrities. Some of them I barely recognize the names of. Others are just pretty cool. Okay, how about a little animal news to help wrap us up for today? Okay. Now, I don't know how many of you are familiar with a little amphibian known as coqui. Coqui is a teeny tiny itty bitty little frog. And when I say teeny tiny itty bitty, I'm talking the damn thing's the size of a quarter. All right? It is only native to the island of Puerto Rico. And if you've ever been to Puerto Rico and you've been out in the country, you know exactly what I'm talking about. The coqui, its mating call is very distinct, and that's where it gets its name. Because when the males are looking to get laid, they say coqui, coqui, in a much, much higher pitch. Believe you me, you will know it when it pierces your brain. That's how high pitched it is. Well, apparently it is spreading. It's no longer restricted to the island of Puerto Rico. It has now found itself a new home on the islands of Hawaii, which is pissing off a lot of Hawaiians. Apparently, some plants that were being delivered from Florida to Hawaii had cookies or cookie eggs on them. They get there, the cookies manage to get away from the plants and move out into the wild, out into the up into the rainforest of Hawaii, which is, where cookies really thrive. They thrive in rainforests, specifically the Puerto Rican rainforest, the tropical rainforest. But Hawaii's pretty cool as well. It's close enough for them. This happened sometime in the 1990s, and since then, due to the fact that the coquille has no natural predators in Hawaii, they, on average, wherever it is that they are, their population is 3 times denser than it is anywhere in Puerto Rico. Because in Puerto Rico, there are snakes, lizards, and tarantula-style spiders that hunt, kill, and eat coquilles. On the islands of Hawaii, the population has gotten so big, like I said, it's 3 times the normal amount that you would find in Puerto Rico, but it's so big that the coquilles are able to, turn to cannibalism, eating each other, eating smaller cookies, because, there's just so many of them. They run into each other so much, they're able to eat each other. And still, that does nothing to control the environment, to control their numbers over there. Now, while Puerto Ricans find the song of the coquille to be quite romantic, soothing, you know how some people might go out and listen to the crickets chirping, here in the United States. In Puerto Rico, couples will go out and, have a romantic night listening to the coquilles. Whereas in Hawaii, they find it really, really fucking annoying. They apparently don't have that many loud... They don't have that many loud nocturnal amphibians, if any, in Hawaii, naturally. And they are fighting a war against the coquille. They are spraying their plants with citric acid. Any plants that come in are subjected to either scalding hot water or freezing temperatures in order to kill any eggs or coquille on those plants. Now, the frog wranglers, the frog whisperers that they've hired to take care of the coquille have admitted there's no such thing as eradicating the coquille. That's never, ever going to happen. When you're talking about an animal that's the size of a quarter and can populate at will, and we're talking about within 1 square mile, there can be as many as 10,000 of these things, you're not getting rid of them anytime soon or ever. They've already admitted this. The best they can do is containment. Keep them in the places they already are, not let them spread. That, I think, also is a losing proposition right there. That's our animal news for today. And a little political news. You guys may have heard recently that President Barack Obama has decided to open up negotiations with Cuba, of all places. Now, this has been heralded as a good thing by Democrats, by younger Cubans and Latinos in the United States, as it's been said to be a good thing by most Cubans in Cuba, because they're talking about, opening up commerce, travel, imports and exports. Because the United States, we're only 90 miles away from Cuba, officially speaking. Florida is only 90 miles away from Cuba. All right, so we would potentially be one of its biggest trading partners if we get into the deal with them. And then I and every other cigar aficionado out there can finally get Cubans legally in this fucking country. All right, instead of having to go to Canada or Mexico where they have a nasty tendency of ripping you off and giving you fake shit. So, I'll be one of the first ones to tell you, I think it's about time. Yes, you know what? There are a lot of Republicans that are very much against it, but we're talking about an embargo, of not having any relations with Cuba at all that's gone on for over 50 fucking years. And the idea being, to isolate them, to get them to change their ways. And you know what? It hasn't worked. 54 fucking years later, and Cuba hasn't moved a fucking inch. And the fact is, the only Cubans that care about maintaining this embargo are the older Cubans who were there in Cuba when everything went down, and they're still pissed off about it. But you know what? Their grandkids don't give a shit. I don't give a shit. Most people in this country don't give a shit anymore. And, then other people tell you, well, what about the human rights aspect of it? Cuba has been known to support, terrorism and overturning governments in other countries. I'm like, and you're going to tell me that we deal with countries that don't do that? Of course we do. Of course we do. We have ambassadors in lots of countries that do really fucked up shit, but we maintain relations with them. This has become a pissing contest. This deal with Cuba now. It's like we want to be right so bad that we would cut off our nose to spite our face. It's stupid. The people in Cuba suffer. We suffer. Obviously, they suffer a lot more. But it's become a useless endeavor. Even it doesn't help anymore. I mean, Cuba is not even being supported by what used to be its biggest ally, which was the old Soviet Union. It doesn't exist anymore. And, Putin is not exactly rolling out the welcome wagon and the welcome rug for Cuba right now. They don't give a shit about them anymore. Russia's busy taking care of itself and trying to annex countries around itself now. It's not worried about what's happening, 6,000 miles away with a very minor player in the geopolitical system. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think it'd be cool that you can go to Cuba, visit Cuba. It'd be cool. I think it'd be great to be able to get cigars in this country again, and other Cuban exports. And I think it'd be cool that if we could open markets in Cuba, so that Cubans can buy our cars and our computers and our technology, our TV sets. Maybe buy some of our food, our excess chicken. We have lots of it, by the way. We have too much chicken in this country. We have so much chicken, we export about 20% of it to China. And we still have too much chicken. I'm sure they'd like some of our beef as well. The deal was in part brokered by the Pope, Pope Francis, I think it is right now. And he had a big deal in brokering the deal between the United States and Cuba to come together, come to an accord. Also, Canada was a big player in this, where a lot of the meetings took place. And there was also some prisoner exchanges. We're talking about prisoners of Cuba that we've had here for a couple of decades, and prisoners of ours that have been in Cuba for decades as well. That we're exchanging them. We're giving them back to each other. It's a big deal. And I will be talking more about this in the weeks to come as the story unfolds. I didn't even give you a tenth of all the details that go with this particular story because it's just such a big story, and I am running out of time on the quick side. But before I go, one more story concerning animals from North Carolina, Brasstown, North Carolina. Apparently at midnight every year, New Year's Eve, Clay Logan lowers a live possum in a box to the cheers of a couple thousand spectators as they count down the last 10 seconds of the year. I don't even have time to finish this story, but I'll let you know this much. Peter's pissed off, and I still don't know why. And I will get back to the story when we have time to discuss it. But you know what? We are all out of time. Thank you for listening, you guys. One more song now by the group known as The Deliverance. The name of the song is World of Beauty. Thank you for listening. Hopefully I'll be back again sooner than later. Definitely before the new year comes along. So Merry Christmas, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy Hanukkah. Hope you guys had a great Thanksgiving. And I will be sure to wish you a Happy New Year before it gets here. Thanks for listening. I'm Joe the Shirt, and I've been off the cuff.